Now that we have a little bit of vodka knowledge under our belts, that was in the previous video in case you haven't watched it, it's now time to turn our attention to a few vodka cocktails. And this is one that I've been wanting to showcase for a while, but I was just waiting for the right opportunity. I did reinvent this cocktail for Goldstone's lime and ginger rum because the combination of that rum in this cocktail was just a winner. It works so well. However, this cocktail is and has always been vodka based. And a lot of you might have already guessed, but this is the Woo Woo. This cocktail was a 1990s, 2000s classic. Whenever it was on the menu, it flew out. For me, I would always call it one of the biggest cash converter cocktails on a menu. The ingredients were cheap, it was really quick to make, and it sold by the bucket load. However, in recent years, with all the mixology and the new ingredients that have come to the fore, the Woo Woo has died off in popularity. But if you do put it on a menu, I guarantee it still sells. So the classic Woo Woo recipe is really simple. It's vodka. It is a peach liqueur, traditionally Artis. I'm going to talk about this in a second. Traditionally Artis, which has pretty much died off the face of the earth. It's still about there, but you know, doesn't really get spoken about as much as it did in the 90s and early zeros. And then cranberry juice. Full disclosure, this is actually cranberry and raspberry juice. I had this for an event at the weekend. The litre things have gone, but I've still got it now. So this is actually Ocean Spray cranberry and raspberry juice because I do prefer that. You know, I like a little lime wedge. So traditionally straight in a glass, 50ml double bubble of your vodka. I've always done 15ml, half an ounce of the peach liqueur. Probably about 150ml of your cranberry or cranberry and raspberry juice. And for me, as I say, I always have that wedge of lime. Now for me, whenever I've served this cocktail and had it on a menu, I do like to shake it, but because when it's on a menu it really does fly out, I've always made sure I've served it in a toughened glass, so I can simply add in my ice to the glass, whack on the little end of a Boston shaker, that should go in there perfectly, and you could just give it a really good quick shake. All we do is dump that straight back in the glass. Now I know it's just vodka and cranberry with a little touch of peach in there, but the Woo Woo in the height was just crazy. And I think if you did make it in a cocktail shaker and shake it, it was just slowing down procedure. A lot of people would just put it in a glass and serve it like that, give it a quick stir. But I do think shaking it did add something to the cocktail. Now, of course, we could keep that old school classic recipe and we could put that back on the menus. But where's the fun in that? The fun is all about having a little play, putting little riffs on it and bringing it up to, I'm going to start saying 2025 specs. So where do we start? How do we bring this cocktail into modern day specs? Well, even though this is a vodka video, I'm actually going to start off and talk about the peach liqueur. This video is sponsored by me, kind of, because in the description below, I have 3 fantastic offers for you guys. The first partnership I'm bringing you is my good friends at Franklin's & Sons. They are giving you UK viewers 15% off your very first order. My long-term buddies at Drinkstuff, I've been a customer of Drinkstuff for 25 years-ish, give or take, and they're also a client of mine, but Drinkstuff are giving you 5% off your very first order for you UK viewers. But I've also got something for you guys watching worldwide. I've been getting a lot of comments recently about this apron and where did I get it from? Well, I can now tell you. This is from Fancy Gents over in Greece, and they're giving you 10% off any apron on their website. Now, all 3 of those discount codes in the description of this video. So if you go down there and check the description out, you'll find the discount codes, but you'll also find the link to download my free PDF cocktail book. Now, when I was making this cocktail a few minutes ago, I said traditionally Artis was the ingredient of choice. Now, I don't think I've owned a bottle of Artis in 15, 16 years. I don't even really recall seeing it out in the supermarkets. It must be, but it's just a product I don't look for anymore. I do believe, so Artis, for those of you that don't know, is essentially a peach, they call it a schnapps, a peach schnapps native to Scandinavia. For all intents and purposes, it's a peach liqueur. Now, I do prefer upgrading the peach liqueur to something like this. Now, I know certain people are going to look at this and go, Monin, oh, we can do much better. But I promise you, I was of that opinion as well. I've always been a Giffard person, Edmund Brereter, many of those other kind of brands like that. But when I actually tried the Monin range of liqueurs a few years ago, I was actually really, really impressed. And for the money, they are really, really good, because they will be a good £5 cheaper than some of the likes of Briater and maybe even some of the likes of Giffard as well. This peach liqueur is phenomenal. And even that swap alone takes the woo-woo to the next level. But for those of you that are still with me from my rum journey, might think, hang on, there's another fruit, there's another liqueur that's actually behind me that I actually do prefer, that is actually part of the peach family. And that is right here, Nectarine. Of course, Nectarine is a smooth skin peach, effectively. This liqueur is fantastic. So my first upgrade, my first kind of ingredient to reinvent the woo-woo, to bring it up to 2025 specs, is using this. Now, I've already sort of featured the vodka. I already used the vodka in here, but I promise you, I spoke about this in the previous video, upgrading your vodka from your Absolut, from your Smirnoff. And while you think, you know, this is a cheap cocktail, it's one of those that you can just use any old vodka. When you enhance the vodka, when you bring a better flavor to it, you are making a better drink. Therefore, you can charge more money for it. Okay, you know, it's not, we are in a world these days where people do appreciate that some brands are better than others. So when you kind of list a Dutch Barn, for example, instead of a Smirnoff, instead of an Absolut, actually a lot of your customers are going to appreciate that this is a better quality vodka. Now, without going over the old video too much, this is going to bring apple notes to the cocktail. Apple and cranberry works really, really well together. Apple and peach, apple and nectarine work really, really well together. But you could, like I said in the other video, you could go down like a grape-based vodka, if you like, a grape spirit, like Ciroc is another one. I think grapes along with peaches and that along with cranberry is going to work exceptionally well. But for this, I'm going to use Dutch Barn. Now for the cranberry, I kind of want to bring another ingredient into the mix here, because a lot of bars don't really use cranberry that much these days. Cranberry juice. Cosmos to a certain extent, but even they die off the menus. And for me, as again, I just wanted to put a little riff on this, a little twist. So I'm actually going to use a cranberry syrup. You know my whole mantra, long life and shelf stable. This will quite happily sit on your back bar, whereas, you know, your carton of cranberry juice, all right, you know, you can argue that you're going to get through a carton of cranberry juice quite easily if you start knocking woo-woos out. But the point is, this will last on your back bar without needing to go into the fridge. To be fair, you know, for this riff, this is definitely a cranberry syrup riff, but actually for the woo-woo, you know, the better quality cranberry juice, even cranberry and raspberry, is really going to make a huge, significant change to the drink. Now, I've still got a couple of other ingredients to kind of show you before we start making this. First off, back in the day, I actually did do a lot of woo-woo riffs, like strawberry woo-woo and a cherry woo-woo. It was the cherry that kind of stuck with us. And back then, I'll be honest, it was a cherry liqueur that I used. But we now have these bitters from Drinkstuff, still abundant. These are the Unde. I always get these around the wrong way. Unde Viginti. Even in the notes, I've written Viginti Unus there. Unde Viginti are the, make sure I got the right one there, are the cherry forward bitters. They've got two different types of cherry, like normal cherry, Morello cherry, various other, so Unde Viginti, basically 19 different herbs, botanical spices, fruits in there, but these are kind of used cherry forwards. So I'm just going to use these 10 drops. It's going to add 15p to your cocktail at list price. If you've got a trade account with Drinkstuff, it's going to be cheaper. And then the final ingredient, completely off the wall, and you could argue taking it massively away from what the woo-woo actually is, but I really, really love this version, and I think it is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to finish this off with, give it a little bit of fizz, and this is Franklin & Sons Sicilian Lemon Tonic. I think Schweppes' Bitter Lemon. I much prefer this. This is, I drink bottles of this just on its own. I flipping love this stuff. So we've got not as sweet as like a Sicilian lemonade or anything like that. Still got that bitterness in it. It just really balances beautifully with that cranberry syrup. Because of the citrus flavors in there, it negates the need for a lime wedge as well. So again, straight in a toughened glass, we're going for 50 ml double bubble of your vodka, 15 ml of this Nectarine Liqueur, 15 ml of this luscious, vibrant cranberry syrup, 10 drops of the Unde Viginti bitters from Stillerbunt. Add in a little bit of ice to give it a shake. Dump that back in the glass. Top it up with a bit of Sicilian lemon tonic water. Top it up with a few more ice cubes and garnish with a nice sprig of mint and a dried lime from Frona. They keep saying that. They're green lemons, they're not limes. Now this is truly fantastic. The cherry notes that come through from those bitters are there. The nectarine gives it a more delicate, but a more, I don't know how to describe it. It's delicate but vibrant, if you like. Sort of peachy nectarine taste. The cranberry syrup gives you a touch of sweetness, but that's all brought back by the Sicilian lemon tonic, that sort of bitterness from the tonic. It just works. It is, in a sense, you know, in essence, very, very similar cocktail, just reimagined. And this is going to be a crowd pleaser. You could call it, I don't know, Woo Woo 2.0 or Woo Woo 3.0 or whatever, Cherry Woo Woo, but it's just an absolute stunner. Now, if you do make any of my cocktails from my videos, then take a picky of it, upload it to Instagram, and then tag me at Steve the Barman. If you find my videos helpful and you haven't done so already, then please consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any of my future content. And if you want another video to help you on your cocktail journey, then check this one out right there.